Welcome to Beyond Mindset Limits with Tisha Cain. Here, we explore how unlocking your mindset can pave the way for unlimited success. Discover how to create opportunities through legal challenges and transform your business and life with effective public relations strategies. Get ready to elevate your journey and maximize your potential. Now, let's welcome your host, Tisha Cain.
Hi, you guys. Welcome back to my show, Beyond Mindset Limits. I am your host, Tisha Cain. I am an executive counsel. I'm a radio show host. I'm an expert mediator and communicator. I'm a breakthrough mindset coach. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. And now I'm a 7 times #1 best-selling international author and artist. I'm recognized for my work all around the world. I help Fortune 500 executives, visionary leaders, and high-performing entrepreneurs, and I guide them to unlock their influence, align with purpose, and create lasting impact. With my unique blend of legal expertise, my leadership strategy, and transformational coaching, I help individuals and organizations alike rewire the subconscious, release emotional weight, and elevate their relationship with money, power, and self-worth. And we have got an amazing show for you today. Even though I help all of those Fortune 500 executives, my avatar, the one that I work with, are the top guys who've already made the money, who've already succeeded in life and get all the way to the top, and they feel unfulfilled. That's my avatar. That's really my client. However, because I am a proven person of integrity, I walk the talk, I talk the walk, I do all the things. I'm very congruent, I'm very authentic, I'm very transparent, and I am a proven person of integrity. And so lately, I have been getting teen clients, which was so great. So that's what led to this show today. I'm really excited because one, I'm a radio show host and my throat chakra is blown wide open. So I get to use this radio show platform to be able to help teens and help parents and help the community. And I'm not better than you. I just get to do this because I decided I wanted to. And here we are, right? And so I'm really excited about today's show. We're going to go beyond the screen, helping teens reconnect. And I have got some amazing stories for you today that I want to go down through and just talk about and pull apart and see if I can help. Because, years ago, I turned sales into service. They said, go out and sell your coaching packages, sell your publishing packages, sell. And that felt slimy and icky to me. And once I reframed it in my mind, me being a personal development coach, I was like, okay, I get to reframe this. And I'm not selling anything. And in fact, because I have several zones of genius, I'm one of those unicorn people. A lot of people say, Tish, I can't believe you do all of that. And you know what? To be completely transparent, because that's who I am, it stems from hustling for my worth. It stems from being a middle kid. It stems from not being seen. So all of these horrible things that I thought were horrible in the past were actually beautiful medicine to propel me to be a unicorn, to have several zones of genius, to be able to help executives, help visionary leaders, high performers, and parents and teens. And so I want this to be a heartfelt conversation today for parents, for guardians, for families, for teens, who are carrying more than what they're saying. In today's world of phones and social media and AI and comparison, that's a big one, pressure and constant digital noise, many young people are connected to everything else except themselves. And that's what I've been finding. This episode today, we're going to explore how teens can come back to clarity, emotional safety, self-trust, and the real human connection. And if you can't feel my passion today, then you better reach over and turn up the radio, because I am passionate about helping the children. If you are not helping the children today, or the young adults or the teens, then what the heck are you doing? Because these guys, they're building our forever tomorrow. My kids, my 4 kids are going to build the new earth. And so we have to help them. And I am going to turn 50 next month. Holy smokes. Tisha Marie Cain 5.0, right? I'm turning 50. So I really believe that I'm a bridge between the old and the new, and how beautiful this life gets to be that I get to help support teens. So, what if your teen does not need more advice, but they need to reconnect to themselves, right? They have more pressure than ever. They have more screen time activity, more devices than ever today, right? What if they just need to reconnect back to themselves? And so that's what we're going to talk about today on Beyond Mindset Limits. We go beyond the mind, beyond limits. I don't want to think in the limits. I don't want to put myself in the box. And Miss Tisha Marie Cain came here for expansion. And anytime you want to put me in a box, I'm like, oh, I want to stretch out. I want to expand out. I want to see what's beyond what I'm able to see. So I'm very self-aware, and I can see other people's blind spots. I've been given this gift to be able to break down for people where they're missing the mark or where they're not aware. And so I've been helping teens lately, and that was one of the reasons I'm like, I am going to talk about going beyond the screen and helping teens reconnect in today's show. So today's teenagers are not just about like sometimes we think they're just being dramatic, or they're just being lazy or moody or difficult. Many of them are just overwhelmed or overstimulated. Every time we go to Costco, my kid gets overstimulated by those lights in Costco every single time. And I think it's the lights that it just doesn't do well for him. So normally he comes home and then he, decompresses and he feels better. But many of them are disconnected. They're emotionally overloaded. They're quietly searching for safety. Sometimes they need someone outside the family to help them sort through what they are carrying and find the next right step. And so I've had several parents call me last week and the week before, just like, hey, can I get in with an appointment with you to talk to my teen? Heck yeah, let's go. Our teens right now are carrying more than what we think. So today, I want to speak to the parents, the grandparents, the guardians, and all the families about their teen. Maybe they feel withdrawn, or maybe they are more emotional. Maybe they're angry or anxious or overwhelmed or distracted or glued to their phones. Who knows? Maybe, they just need help, or they just need someone they could talk to that they could trust. And so teens are growing up in an entirely different world than I did, right? Back in, I don't even know, 85 or 90, somewhere around there, right? This is totally different than the 1990s for me. And so it's so beautiful that I get to help and kind of bridge the gap. And they are constantly connected to digital worlds. And a lot of times I've seen that they're disconnected emotionally too. Many teens don't need to be fixed. They just need to be heard, right? And so for me, I become a safe place to land. It's kind of like, I don't know, this is kind of a dumb analogy, but you know how like Starbucks developed their core environment? Like they said, okay, we don't want to be home and we don't want to be work, but we want to have a safe place in between that doesn't feel like home and doesn't feel like work. That's who I am, right? So this is why parents have hired me here lately is, okay, they're not the parent, right? And then they're not a therapist or psychologist, but I'm like that safe place in between where the kids can land and we could just talk about all the stuff that they're going through. Teens are growing up in an entirely different world today. And sometimes the safest bridge between a parent and a teen is a grounded adult outside the family. And that's who I represent. That's who I say I am. I'm a grounded adult outside the family. So it's really nice. I get to talk to these teens and say, hey, what's going on? What's the biggest issue that you're going through? What's their modern pressure that they're under to today's day and age? And then I've done this study. I love doing studies. I love collecting data. And so what I've uncovered here lately is there's a huge social media comparison, there's constant stimulation, there's identity confusion, let's be real, there's fear of judgment, there's academic pressure, there's family pressure, they even have pressure around their friend group. AI changing the world, being prepared, preparing them to enter to something that we're not used to, right? They have less face-to-face connection. And so that's why I felt compelled to talk about this today on this radio show, Beyond Mindset Limits, because it's really important that I give you guys some tools, right? So teens aren't weak, and they're overstimulated, and sometimes they're under supported. And it doesn't mean that you're a bad parent. Life is lifing us, right? We cannot raise grounded teens in a disconnected world without creating intentional spaces for connection. And I spoke earlier about selling, right? I sell to my kids all the time. And the way that I do it, it was funny. I think I saw like a social media post on TikTok or one of those. And the mom was like, I sell to my kids all the time. And I took up her tips. I'm like, baking cookies, right? And the kids come downstairs, they're like, what's going on, right? Okay, cool. We're having family movie night, pizza and popcorn. Oh, cool. Can my friends come over? And then this way I get the kids in the house. So I know like, okay, I'm a grounded parent. I'm a responsible parent. I know everybody's safe. Everybody's doing what they need to be doing, right? No one's left unattended, and they're fed and they're safe and they're looked after. So I sell to my kids all the time, right? Many teens, they love their parents, but they still can't tell them everything, right? They don't want to disappoint them. They don't want to be judged by them. They don't want to get in trouble. I tell my kids they're in trouble all the time. They go, what? We're in trouble. I'm like, yeah, you're in trouble, right? And so they need someone else outside the family, right? They don't want to be lectured. They don't know how to explain how they feel. They are afraid for their parents. Sometimes their parents will overreact. They're afraid that their parents will minimize it. Maybe they feel embarrassed. I mean, these are all the things that were coming up, and they don't even fully understand themselves yet, right? They're growing and psychologically and physically into someone that they've never been before. In my years of working with teens, and I've been working with teens since I'd say 2018. I've had teen clients since 2018. I've learned that teens will often say things to a safe adult that they can't say at home. And not because their parents are bad parents, because you guys aren't, but because the emotional stakes at home can feel way too high, right? A teen may need privacy, but they also need guidance. And the goal is not secrecy. The goal is safety, right? I want to keep these kids safe with all the baloney that we hear out on, news channels and, Telegram and all the stuff surrounding children these days. I aim to protect the children at all cost, right? And so if I can do that and have a safe place to land and have a place in between, parents to be able to allow for safety to develop, I mean, that's what feeds my heart, right? I will never share the names or identities of my clients that I work with, but I do want to share some patterns that I've seen over the years, because I think, I'm a teacher and a preacher in addition to all the other unicorn qualities that I have, it gets exhausting sometimes because I can do it all. And people are like, you do it all. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not ego about it, but it's important to have a little bit of ego to say, hey, you guys, I'm here to help. I'm here to help you and your teen get to a safe place, and I could help you. And this is what I do. So I want to share one story. It was a teen who never feels heard. And the teen came in, shut down, overwhelmed, unable to express what was really going on. And once they had a judgment-free space, their shoulders dropped. I saw this physical, cathartic experience, the sensory acuity in their face change. Once they realized, I'm not going to judge them. Like, what's going on? What's on your heart? What are the presenting pressures you're going through? Let's just talk about it, right? their shoulders dropped, their breath slowed down. They were able to take the mask off and really be who they are, and they started talking, and they were not looking for someone to fix them, right? They just were looking for someone to hear them. And that's it. That's the teaching point. Listening can be the beginning of healing. Imagine that, right? And so if you take one thing from this call today, especially when you're dealing with a teen, this is the one line I say over and over ad nauseum is, tell me more, tell me more, right? And they're typically in their language, because I'm a neuro-linguistic practitioner, their language will tell me exactly what's going on. And so tell me more, and just listen without judgment. This is what these teens are needing right now. Listening can be the beginning of healing. There's another story of a client I have who is living in comparison. And a teen was consumed by social media, consumed with comparison, appearances, and feeling like they were behind or they weren't good enough, right? Through mindset work and self-trust, I guided them back to themselves. And let's talk about that. That's what clean coaching is. There is nothing outside of you. If God made you, then God is inside you. You are part God. Act like it, right? There is nothing outside of you. So I guide these teens, even executives, even high performers, back to themselves, not to me. And I always say this: if I'm doing my job appropriately, if I'm doing my job right, I'm actually working myself out of a job, right? You shouldn't be coming back to me over and over and over again. And there's nothing wrong with family therapy and psychologists and psychiatrists and family therapists. I'm not bagging or dogging on them. I'm not. But they keep you coming back and staying in the stories. No. When you work with me, we keep you looking out the windshield of your life. And, the rearview mirror is small for a reason, right? Look back there for a minute and then, okay, let's create the life that you want. And a lot of times these teens, they don't even know, they haven't even had the exposure or the experience as to, the worldly experience as to what they want. And so part of finding out who they are is finding out who they are not, right? I like, one thing is like, okay, we love music instruments in my home. I have like all the music instruments. So I told my son, pick up the violin. He goes, I don't really like the violin, but I love the flute. Let's do that. Great. So he was doing kumbaya on the flute and I was doing kumbaya on the violin, right? Because he figured out part of what he likes is figuring out what he doesn't like, right? And so I just guide these kids back to themselves, or actually everybody. I just guide you back to yourselves. And that's what's called clean coaching. And in this coaching space, there's people that are congruent and there are people that are not. And I've seen it all. And I hold myself out as a proven person of integrity to help these kiddos get to the next level, right? And so I guide them back to themselves, to self-trust. They start understanding that their worth was not determined by online approval. And the teaching point here is whatever you focus on grows, right? So if you're focusing on, hey, I'll give you another example of my own kids, because I have 4, and one of them, he says, I can't dance. Okay, yeah, right. When did you decide that, right? Is the question that I ask him. When did you decide that? And tell me more, right? And then I showed him all of these videos that we had on our external hard drive from the time that he was 14 months up until now, on what an amazing dancer he is. But he has this comparison, right? He's comparing himself to the Las Vegas Jabberwockies. Those guys are ridiculous and good. And I'm like, hey, dude, you're 11. You can continue dancing every single day to get all the dance moves. And by the time you're 20 or even 18, you can apply for a job. You'll be better than all of them. But he has that comparison, right? Teens do this, which is crazy. But I think it's part of their genetic makeup as we all go through it, right? I went through it too. There's another story of a teen who needed the next right step, right? A teen did not need the complete life path planned out in front of them. They needed one calm, clear next step. So after talking through what they were feeling, they could identify what to do next. So I'm like, okay, what do you think that you can do next? And then they rattle off like 5 different things. Okay, let's talk about the 5 different things. Is number 1 viable? No, not really. That kind of sucks. Okay, cool. Is number 2 feel better? No, I kind of like 3. Okay, cool. So now we've already narrowed it down, but the reality is they have figured it all out on their own. They just need me to ask those good quality questions to guide them back to themselves. And so this is where it's so important to have someone outside of the family to get these teens to reconnect to themselves, right? Teens need tools. One teen needed like practical tools, right? Like, hey, breath work, journaling, walking, nature. Oh, I had a teen last week come to me and she goes, I just feel like crap. I'm like, okay, cool. And she's like looking at me like, no, I wasn't going to play in her energy. Okay, you feel like crap. Cool. You're here for a reason. And she goes, yeah, I want to feel better. I said, great. What are you doing to feel better? And she goes, nothing. I'm all, okay. Well, not really true. That's not the whole truth of the story because you're here in my office. And she goes, yeah, you're right. I said, so you did make one step to feel better, but maybe we can carve back the path to give you some practical tools to feel better. If you feel like crap, I get it, but you need to be doing something to feel better, right? It's like, hello, like these are the things that they can't see. It's outside of their awareness. That's why they need someone else. But you know what? If you guys are listening, you guys know I'm telling the truth. If mom or dad would tell them that, they'd be all, oh God, mom or dad, you guys suck, right? So you have someone who has a proven authority, who has a track record, someone, and I'm not just saying hire me. I mean, yeah, hire me because I'm good, but find someone else to an adult where they can. That's why I loved the Boys and Girls Club as a child. I have no opinion on them now because I haven't done any research lately. But back when I was a child, for me, it was a really good experience. It was a really good way to leave my parents' energy and go play some basketball with other kids and other coaches, that were there at the little convention center or wherever we were. But it was a really good place for me to connect with other kids, connect with other adults, and just like have a safe place to land. So back when I was a kid, it worked out. I don't know about it now, but that's why it's important to understand who you're hiring, who's going to help your teen, vet them out, really do the research, right? Give them practical tools. That's what I gave them, practical tools. You feel like crap. Okay, cool. What are you doing to feel better? Nothing. Okay, great. Now let's do some walking. Let's do some activity. Let's do some nature, walking in nature. Let's hug some trees, right? So doing all of those, and I guide them back to themselves, doing those holistic practices, journaling, breath work, holistic practices give teens something to do with what they feel. Teenagers don't always need someone to tell them who to be. They need someone to help them remember who they are. So let's pause right there. We're going to have a few messages and we'll be right back. Thanks, guys.
Did you know that most people spend thousands more than they need to on legal services, simply because they do not know they have options? The truth is, the right legal support can save you time, money, and unnecessary stress. At Cain's Legal Support, we have spent over 22 years helping individuals and families navigate the legal system with confidence, without the overwhelm and without the inflated costs. Whether you are facing a divorce, custody battles, landlord-tenant issues, civil or criminal matters, or even small claims, we are here to guide you every step of the way. We specialize in document preparation, private mediation, and personalized legal support, giving you the tools you need to move forward with clarity and control. And we do not stop there. From notary services to wedding officiating, Cain's Legal Support is your full-service legal concierge because your life does not fit in a box, and your legal support should not either. If you are ready for legal guidance that actually works for you, visit cainslegalsupport.com today. Justice for all, give us a call. That is cainslegalsupport.com.
Are you feeling stuck, repeating the same patterns in your relationships, your career, or even within yourself? What if the root of it all isn't what you think? Introducing the Beyond Mindset Session with clinical hypnotherapist Tisha Marie Cain. With over 2,000 clients served, Tisha guides you through a powerful 90-minute breakthrough session designed to uncover the true source of what's holding you back, release limiting beliefs, rewire how you see yourself. Plus, you'll receive personalized integration support with follow-up sessions, a daily alignment plan, and a full recording to reinforce your transformation. Imagine feeling lighter, more confident, free from the cycles that once defined you. This is your opportunity to step into a new version of yourself. Appointments are available in person in California and Las Vegas, and anywhere virtually. The Beyond Mindset Session with Tisha Marie Cain. Schedule your session today at tishamariecain.com.
And we are back. You are here with me, Tisha Marie Cain, and Beyond Mindset Limits. Hey, you guys can find me out on my website, okay? If you just put my name in Google, boom, I'm there. It's almost like I'm Carmen Sandiego. I am everywhere. You can find me at www.tisha, Tisha, Marie, Marie, Cain, Cain.com. Cain, it's biblical. It's straight out of the Bible. That's for another show. But tishamariecain.com, you can go on there and schedule a free discovery call if you think, you might want to think about it. You might want to think, okay, is coaching right for my teen? Is it not? But I'm going to tell you guys about my offering after this. But what's important to know is there's help. There's help for your teen. There's help for you. We're living in a disconnected world, and I love connection. I love to make sure that, we're doing what we're doing so we can build a better earth, so we can build a better tomorrow. I'm here because I am passionate about these kids. I love these kids. I had 4. I created 4 beautiful children. And I tell you right now, when I was pregnant with all 4 of those children, there wasn't a day that I didn't go without my multivitamin. There wasn't a day that I put crap in my body. I may have ate a little bit too much cheese candy because I love chocolate, but I was always thinking about the children while they were growing in my womb. I love children. That's why I had 4. And then when I gave birth to these children, I nursed them for 18 months just to make sure that they had a good foundation and a good start to go out and be good humans and be a, what do I always say? I just lost my thought, but to be like a good citizen and a good productive citizen in today's society, right? And I got to unravel that too from a coaching perspective, because, I want them to be productive, but not so much productiveness that they lose themselves, right? Like I did in the past. But anyway, I love children, and I'm very passionate about these teens. I'm very passionate about what I do. And I want to be very transparent, and I want to be very professional, because here's what I know. I'm a coach, right? And when you find me out on the street, I'm my whole brand. Tisha Marie Cain is a brand. There is no way that you're ever going to see me misstep or go outside of that brand. I'm congruent. I'm consistent. I show up the same all the time. I show up messy. I show up with my hair cute. I show up without lipstick. I show up without, but I'm very professional and I'm very transparent. So I want to be very clear today. I am not a licensed therapist. No, I don't want that license. I'm not a licensed psychologist. Nope. I'm not a licensed psychiatrist. And I'm certainly not a licensed medical provider. And I do not hold myself out as one. I do not diagnose. I do not treat mental illness. And I do not prescribe medication. And I do not bill insurance. But here's what you need to know. What I offer is coaching. What I offer is mindset support, emotional support, holistic tools, life guidance, and a safe place to talk to your teen. Then I help them with self-trust, and I help them with confidence, and I help them with communication and things like goal setting and emotional regulation tools and mindset. They're not taught this in the public school system, right? I help them with their identity. Most of them are coming into their identity and they don't even know who the heck they are, right? I help them with decision making and accountability and healthy habits and connection and finding the right next step for them. When a teen is in crisis or immediate danger, this is not a coaching issue. So don't think that. This is an emergency support issue. So for a crisis or any immediate safety concerns, families should always contact emergency services or those hotlines, right? There's tons of hotlines. The human trafficking hotline, huge. The suicide hotline, huge. Those are readily available on our phones any given time. So this is not crisis. This is coaching. Coaching is not a replacement for therapy or emergency care. It's just a supportive bridge for teens who need guidance and clarity and connection. And that's why I'm here. It's so great. So what I believe teens need most, and this is just my perspective, and everybody has their own perspective, but this is my radio show. So I get to say what I want. So here is what I believe in my years of work in my coaching programs is what teens need most. My philosophy is they need a safe place to land. They need a grounded adult. They need less judgment. What else? They need more connection. They need emotional language. They need mindset tools and healthy routines, nature, movement, device, boundaries, truth over comparison, congruence, self-trust, someone who sees their potential, someone who believes in them. Like when my little son said, "Oh, I can't dance." And I said, "When did you decide that?" He goes, "Last year." And I wanted to point him back to himself. He made that decision that he couldn't dance, which is further from the truth. But I'm just like, "Oh, honey, like I have tons of evidence and I have tons of examples where you're an amazing dancer. But okay, whatever you believe, you're right." Right. And our family, it's so funny because my last name is Cain, Cain. And I tell my family, rearrange the letters in Cain to say I can. There's nothing that we can't do because I can do whatever I want to do as long as I don't violate the laws, right? And again, what laws are you talking about? Don't violate the laws. I don't really care about, I went to law school. I don't really care about the statutes and the codes and, all of that, those laws. I don't care because I just live under 10 laws. And one of the first laws that I live under is first do no harm. And that's my law, right? So whatever you believe, you're right. I believe I can do anything as long as I'm not harming anyone, as long as I'm adding value to humanity, as long as I'm helping humanity raise their vibration so that we can start creating the world that we want. And I even saw this. I wrote this down. I got to find it real quick because it was so good. I wrote this down in my notes just the other day. And it said, because sometimes I think what happens is we get a little, not resentful, that's not the word, but we get a little like, brash over, what we're seeing in the world. I don't consume a whole lot of social media, but I just post and get off. But it said, if you're unhappy with the way things are, create something else. And I thought, oh, great. I'm a creator god, right? I've birthed 4 lives into this world. I love to create. I've written 7 books. I just keep creating and birthing things out in the world in hopes to help humanity, right? And so this is where I want you to know and feel me here, right? I don't want this to be just another radio show. I want you to feel my passion for your child, for your teen, for your young adult, right? I want to guide them back to themselves. We don't need to control our teens into healing. We just need to connect them back to themselves. And so this is what I do. So I strategically recently built out a new offer. And I was talking to my best friend, and she's like, yeah, this is something that's needed, right? She was telling me that the marriage family therapists in California, they were backed up for like 2 and 3 months. And then they wouldn't take insurance and da, 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 da. And I'm like, oh my gosh, here's an opportunity. Here's an opportunity to continue to put my offers out. I've been helping teens for a while, but I hadn't strategically placed this offer out into the universe just until a couple of weeks ago, right? So I'm like, okay, this is the offer. This is why I'm opening my practice, because I love these teens. And so I developed a teen breakthrough session. And what it is, it's 45 minutes coaching with me. And this is, so if you have a teen that's ages 14 through 20, I'll take the little guys, but like I have an 11-year-old and he's just like, he's off on his own little world, reading his books and doing his own art. Like, yeah, his awareness isn't quite there yet. So I'd like to just do 14 to 20. Zoom's available. I have immediate openings. Parents can schedule through my website. It's safe. It's judgment-free. I offer support, clarity, connection, and then I give them the next right step. Like the teen that came to me last week, she goes, life sucks. And I'm like, great, love it. And she looks at me like I'm, an alien, which I probably am. And I'm like, well, what are you doing to feel better? And she goes, nothing, right? And all pouty. I'm like, well, do you want to feel better? That's the first step. I just ask those good quality questions. So my teen breakthrough session is for the parent who knows their teen needs something outside of the family or someone outside of the family to talk to, someone who's grounded, someone who's safe, someone who could help them breathe, help them with the process, and help these teens come back to themselves. Your teen doesn't have to have it all figured out. They just have to have the next right step. And that's what I offer, right? And so it's important to note that they're going through a lot. And I see it. I see it in their faces. And some teens, when I was at Costco the other day, it's like they're dead inside. It's like, are you there? Like, wake up. Is there joy? Do you have joy in your heart? Is there something that you're excited about, And I'm always looking for little ways to celebrate. Me and my family, we celebrate all the little tiny wins. We even went out to lunch today. We're celebrating that we woke up. That's it, right? I mean, it gets to be that simple. And they're like, oh, that's crazy. No, it's not, because we're celebrating. We have something to look forward to every day. So if your teen is struggling, you're not a bad parent. I had an issue last week where my kid, the bike had fallen over inside Dick's, and my kid just walked away, right? And I'm all, what the heck? You were responsible for the bike that was being sold and it fell over. Why didn't you pick it up? And my kid goes, not my job. And I had a moment, and I looked at my husband. I had a moment. I'm like, oh my gosh, are we bad parents? Like, are we raising? No, we're not bad parents. And you're not a bad parent either. I'm like, buddy, I taught you better. You take responsibility. You knock that bike over. I'll stand and wait for you to go and pick it up. And he said, the worker's going to do it. I'm all, you're the worker. Get your butt over there and pick up that bike, And then he had to go through a whole little discussion on how important it was to make sure that we do the right thing, even when no one's looking, right? So it's funny because I have these real world experiences, and I do social experiments all the time, right? And I connect. It's interesting that I connect with teens like I do, because I guess because I'm carefree and I'm charismatic and I don't judge myself. So they know that I'm not going to judge them. If they want to have hot pink hair, okay, fine. You want to stand out? Okay, cool. Let's do that. Right. And then I say, tell me more. What's going on? And then they feel connected to me. So if your teen is struggling, you're not a bad parent. I thought that for a minute. And then I quickly corrected it. One, because I'm a mindset coach. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to be feeling like a bad parent because my kid just made a bad decision right now in this moment. Like I know I've set my kid up for success. Every single day I set my kids up for success. And I know I'm doing the best I can with what I know. And I know you as a parent or a grandparent, if you're raising, kids that are your loved ones, I know life is hard, but you're doing the best you can with what you have. And that's where you give yourself grace and allow yourself to say, hey, all right, I need this kid. They also have, this wasn't a plug for CASA, but there is also the court appointed special advocates too, like in the foster system. And I was in California, I was a CASA advocate, court appointed special advocate for foster youth. So I did that for a while, and that was phenomenal because, they had their regular biological parents, and then they had their foster parents. And so I was aligned, and I forget this stuff. I forget it. So it's like just in audio processing right now, I'm remembering that I was aligned with these foster youth children to be able to talk to me because I wasn't their biological parent and I wasn't their foster parent. There was just a neutral parent to show up and take them out to, some sweet tea or something. And I really enjoyed that. So interesting how I opened up my practice again to offer this coaching session for teens, because that's what basically I enjoy. So your teen, if they're struggling, it's not because you're a bad parent. You are not failing. Sometimes love looks like recognizing that your child needs another safe voice to be in their corner. And I'm a safe voice, right? And if you're a teen listening today, and if you're listening and you feel overwhelmed and you feel broken and you feel depressed and you feel like, you're not too much, or you feel like you're too much, or you feel like you're behind, you're learning how to be a human in a very loud world. That's what I would say. It's like learning how to operate and behave. And, sometimes I talk to my kids, like my parents never talked about overstimulation or too much noise, or, sometimes I just get a little bit agitated because I have the lights and the fan and the noise and the cars. I'm like, oh, it's just too much. The world is too loud. And so I offer a safe space to come over Zoom to say, hey, so even the kids, I was thinking about this, the teenagers can be in their room with their laptop and we're on Zoom and I'm helping them. So they feel safe because they're in their own house, right? They're in their own space. And that's why, I'm a clinical hypnotherapist as well. And so back in 2020, when all that stuff hit and we were confined to our homes, hypnotherapy worked more now than ever because they didn't have to come into the office. We can do it via Zoom. And they were on their sofa in their safe house with their laptop next to their face, because I have to see your sensory acuity when you go into deep trance. And so the hypnosis sessions that I did during those times, those 4 years, holy moly, they were so good. Like people were making transformation after transformation in just one 90-minute session with me. So the fact that these kids could stay home, be at their kitchen table with their laptop and just talk to me and say, and just offload, I feel like life sucks right now. Can you help me? Well, heck yeah, I can help you. This is what I do, right? So, hey, there's been parents, Maria from Barstow, there's been several parents write in today, and I want to ask and answer some of these questions. So they wrote in today, beyond the screen, helping teens. So Maria from Barstow, California, she goes, my 16-year-old son comes home from school, goes right to his room, puts his headphones on, and barely speaks to us anymore. When I ask what's wrong, he says nothing. I don't want to push him away, but I also don't want to ignore what feels like a real disconnection. How do I reach him? Okay. So Maria, what I would say is, first, trust your mother's intuition, right? If something feels like different, pay attention to that, but approach him with connection and not interrogation, right? Instead of saying, hey babe, what's wrong? Say, hey, you don't need to explain anything to me right now. I just want you to know that I see you and I love you. And I'm here for you whenever you're ready. If you just want to veg out because the world is too loud, I get it. Right. And I would tell them that. Teenagers often shut down when they feel like, they're being examined. Sometimes the safest doorway is just simple presence. Just be there, sit near them, drive with them, bring them food, ask one low pressure question, let him feel your steadiness without forcing a full conversation. I do this a lot. I'll just go and sit on the edge of my kid's bed. I'm like, hi. And they just laugh at me like, Mom, you're weird. I'm like, I know. Oh, hi, just making sure you're good. Is everything good? Yeah, I'm good. Cool. And then they'll go, can you go now, Mom? Okay. The goal is to not pull everything out of him in one sitting. The goal is to become a safe place where he wants to open up. So I know that, Maria, that's really tough. And I know, and I get it. But trust your intuition here. You're doing a good job, Maria. You really are. Okay, we have Jason from Temecula. Thank you, Jason, Temecula, California. He says, my daughter is 15 and social media seems to control her mood. If a post doesn't get enough likes, she spirals. Oh gosh. Okay, if her friends don't respond fast enough, she thinks everyone hates her. How do we help her without making her feel judged? Oh my gosh. I love this, Jason. Oh my gosh. Okay. So it's such an important question right now because today's teens are just not using social media. Many of them are emotionally measuring themselves through it, right? Whew, that's a lot. I would not start by attacking the phone. Don't do that. Start by maybe help her separate her attention with worth. And here's something you would say, like something like this. I know this feels real right now. Okay. I know it feels real, but your value cannot be measured by who responds, who likes, or who watches you. You are more than a reaction to a screen. I'd tell her that, right? Hey, you're more than just a reaction to the screen. Your value is not measured by likes, right? I think when social media first came out, I'm like, I only got 45 likes. I was in that too, right? It's natural, it's normal, right? And so then help her create a small nervous system reset. Before she checks the post, have her take a walk, drink water, breathe, do something physical. I have my kids hug trees. The body has to come back online before the mind can tell the truth. And the deeper teaching here, Jason, is that your daughter does not need shame around social media. She needs tools to remember who she is when the screen gets loud, right? No one gets to tell me if I've studied enough to be approved, right? No one tells me who I am, right? I just come back to home. No one gets to measure me, but the measurement I put on myself, and just guide her back. You're doing great, Jason, but I get it. Like, she's getting the value from the likes, and she needs to remember who she is, and it's not valued by that. The algorithms are kind of wonky too sometimes. So good job, Jason. Okay, so Tanya from Indio. I need to look up these little towns. Indio. Okay, question. My 17-year-old is overwhelmed about the future, college, money, AI, jobs, the world changing so fast. He keeps saying, what's the point? I don't think he's lazy. I think he's scared. How do I help him find direction? Okay, I love this one. So Tanya, you're already seeing him with compassion, and that's what really matters. A lot of teens are being asked to plan a future in the world that feels uncertain, fast, and unstable. When a teen says, what's the point? They may not need a motivational speech. They just need someone to help them find one solid next step. Try asking, what is one thing that feels even slightly interesting right now to you? You don't need the whole plan ahead, not the major plan, not the career, not the 10-year vision, just one next step. teens can become paralyzed. And I have watched this with my kids. Teens can become paralyzed when adults ask them to map out their entire future before they even understand themselves. So help them move from pressure to curiosity. And I was talking, we normally, and I use the real world experiences in order to map it across to help you parents, guardians, loved ones with your teen. So here's a real world example. We kind of laugh and joke and say, when you're 18, you're out of the house. Now, we also understand kids don't move out when they're 18 anymore like they used to in the 80s and 90s, but we still hold like these truths to be the truth. So like when you're 18, you need a job and you're out. Well, my 11-year-old kind of spiraled out of it a little bit. And he goes, well, what am I going to do? And I said, well, whatever your heart desires. And he goes, well, what does that mean? And he goes, how much money does In-N-Out make? And so we went down and he did the napkin math, to find out. And he goes, okay, and my 11-year-old is already asking about this. And he said, how much are apartments right now? And we told him, and he's like, oh my gosh. He goes, I'm never going to be able to afford this. I'm like, oh yeah. And I said, he goes, can never do it. I said, well, there's many different ways to get there. He goes, well, I'm just going to have to get a girlfriend real quick so we can split the rent. And I was like, my 11-year-old, okay, I like that. He's thinking outside the box. I said, or, you could go into the military and they can pay for your own rent. What? And that went down to, different discussion on how you can have your rent paid for and not even have to pay for it yourself. Or what about this? You go to college and you split the rent with one of your college buddies and you guys have a room together, 2 bathrooms, 2 bedrooms, and you can split. Oh, we could do that. Yeah. There's many different ways to do it, right? So getting them to think outside the box, but my 11-year-old didn't have to have his whole life planned out. And I said, hey, guess what? Calm down a little bit. You're doing good. I said, just be a kid right now. You don't have to have it all figured out. And he goes, okay, but I just want to be thinking about my job when I get to be older. I'm like, okay, you could do that. Like what? I don't care what you do. Just do whatever your heart desires, buddy. If you want to play guitar and make tons of money doing that, great. If you want to be a painter, great. If you want to be a professor, great. If you want to be a lawyer, if you want to be a peace officer, you want to do that? Do that. Just follow your heart's desire. So what I want you guys to know today is what's most important is connection is not built by forcing the conversation. Connection is built by becoming safe enough for truth to land. If you need your teen to have connection with someone outside the family home, I would love to be able to serve and support you. You can find me on all platforms, Tisha Marie Cain. You can find me on Beyond Mindset Limits every week. I am here to serve and support. And I'm really excited to bring this topic to you today because I know that we're going beyond the screens, helping teens reconnect. So thank you guys. I hope you have a great week and we'll chat next week.
Thank you for joining Tisha Marie Cain for Beyond Mindset Limits. Tune in every Wednesday at 4 p.m. as the conversation continues around mindset, legal insight, and publishing as a strategic tool for business positioning. Visit tishamariecain.com or cainslegalsupport.com for more information or to schedule your private appointment.